Common sense. This is Nightcaps with Nate.
Coming to you live from just outside the swamp of the nation's capital. Get ready for invigorating talk, commentary, and debate on the issues affecting your life. Grab your favorite drink. It's Nightcaps with Nate. Now, here's Nate.
Hey, welcome back to Nightcaps with Nate. I am Nate, and this is a very special night because it is my favorite night. It is Redneck Wednesday. How's everybody doing? First, we got Whitley, the first redneck I ever met. I mean, that's what she claims. That's what she needs to know. She is the very first real redneck. She comes from the great state of Georgia. Whitley, what are you drinking there, by the way?
Sam Adams Cold Snap.
Oh, it's going to come out of season pretty soon.
I know. Sad.
And the man... Oh, by the way, she's replacing JD tonight because JD is out doing redneck stuff like construction. And then we got Kevin, who's on extreme lockdown. His wife will let him go nowhere but up to the cabin. He's got the most Merica background I've ever seen. What's up, man?
Not much, man. As you see, I got the big shall not be infringed tattooed nice and large for everybody.
It's probably going to overtake your computer memory. You got a redneck computer. So, hey, are you drinking anything?
Absolutely. I got I'm trying out one of these new Miller 64s.
Man, you on a diet.
They're not that good. It was a bad choice. I just saw it and figured it looked cool, but
It looked a lot better than what it tastes, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey,
Exactly.
that's
It's
like
the retro.
And what it's trying to do is it's taking on Mick Ultra, which is like, hey, man, they got 84 calories. We're going to do 64.
Yeah.
No, Mick Ultra has 90 something still too.
Yeah, so it has a little
And they
taste left.
still taste better.
Still tastes like water. Hey, have you ever watched something about Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he picks up the hitchhiker. Dude, I got a better one than 6-minute abs. It's 5-minute abs. Or whatever.
Yeah, everybody got, you just got always one up. It's like that one upper in the military who's like, you're like, oh yeah, well, I went to the moon. He's like, well, I went to Jupiter.
Yeah, man, I went to airborne school. Yeah, well, I'm special forces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always got that. By the way, this show is brought to you by I Am on Team Joe. Today, Hunter Biden has sponsored it. He says because his dad believes in something called economic intercourse, whatever that may be, but it just sounds cool. This guy is a king of getting strippers pregnant and not trying to pay child support. I don't know if the clip is going to show. It's not. But something, he was on, I think, Face the Nation or something on Sunday, and he's talking about jibber jabber. This is what I would do, jibber jabber, because he never makes a lick of sense, and all of a sudden about economic intercourse, and Twitter just blew up. So I have no clue what he meant, but man, it sounded good. Economic intercourse around the world. All right.
Is that where they screw us out of all of our money?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the economic intercourse.
Sounds very plausible.
That actually sounds the most plausible. Let's go with New York Times. Our first story of the day, by the way. New York Times, Biden campaign inaccurately pushing sexual assault investigation and talking points. Basically, he's trying to get out ahead of it. The media has given him the biggest free pass I've ever seen. If you do not believe that the media is biased now, you have your head in the sand. Because this is a major allegation. Had this been Trump, had this been Kavanaugh, they did go after both those guys with sexual allegations and ferociously and vitriolically just hammered our side. But it happens to Joe Biden. All of a sudden, Me Too is quiet. All of a sudden, all those ladies that are in the running, because we know he's going to try to pick a female for a VP, they're all saying, well, we believe it. And so to get it out there, New York Times did some sort of a puff piece where they kind of did an investigation. And so Biden's pushing in actual talking points that he sent out to all his campaign people and surrogates. Hey, let them know that the Times found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Mr. Biden after weeks of investigative research. New York Times even had to step in and say, whoa, we did not say that. Their official response says, now I'll put this on the screen. BuzzFeed reported on the existence of talking points being circulated by the Biden campaign that inaccurately suggest a New York Times investigation found that Tara Reade's allegation did not happen. Danielle Rhodes, is her name, The paper's vice president of communications told the Washington Examiner on Wednesday, our investigation made no conclusion either way. It talks about how 3 people didn't remember. The next paragraph, the story also included former interns who remembered Reed suddenly changing roles and no longer overseeing them, which took place during the same time period that Reed said she was abruptly reassigned. The Times also spoke to a friend who said Reed told her the details of the allegation at the time. Another friend and Reed's brother say she told them of a traumatic sexual incident involving Biden. On top of that, there is now footage on Larry King Live where her mom had called in about this very same thing, and another witness has come forward and corroborated still media silence, but New York Times even had to push back and say, hey, you're not in the clear, Joe. So I think Joe's stupid. First of all, if I was advising him, first of all, I'd advise him to quit because he's got dementia. But if he didn't listen to that or he forgot that I told him that, then I would say, hey, get out in front of this thing, man. Play stupid. Do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a clear and concise line of like, okay, this is media bias, 100%. There's something about the fact that the left can just about do anything and everybody's fine with it, and they're all fine with it. But the minute the right or Trump does something, it's jump down it, act like it's the most real and most live event ever, and it ends up just wasting taxpayer money in court like they did. So I mean, it's
at a minimum, all those Elizabeth Warren, FBI should investigate. Amy Klobuchar, FBI should investigate. They should investigate. We should hold off on nominating him until the FBI investigates. This was just a slow down tactic. Well, guess what? If it's good for the goose, to use your redneck term, it's good for the gander. Okay, so where's the FBI call for investigation now? And why all of a sudden is Hillary Clinton out there? Well, we know she's going to stand by a sexual predator. She stood by her husband all this time, and she's a crook herself. Why is Elizabeth Warren? She's supposed to be the progressive arm of the wing. I mean, she should be the most Me Too person in the world. She's quiet about it. Gretchen Whitmer's quiet about it. Gillibrand last night said, hey, he's vehemently denied it. Am I saying it right, Whit? Vehemently denying it, and so I believe him. But she's the one that came out and said, hey, all women should be believed. If all women should be believed, then let's believe her. And this is not some Republican operative coming out and doing this. This is an actual Democrat, another liberal, a campaign staffer, former staffer of Biden himself, a Democrat who's coming out and saying these allegations.
It's just hypocrisy. Honestly, the Democratic women it's such an embarrassment, especially like to a Republican woman, a conservative. I didn't agree with Trump and what he did, like talking about grabbing the pussies and all that. But he was never accused of raping somebody. Okay, this is like takes it to a whole nother level. And Joe Biden, not only is he raping people, he's also a creep. He's touching little girls on stage in front of people all the time, and you never hear the media reporting any of that.
No, it's been
these are children. These are not even adults. These are little girls that can't even take care of themselves. Like they have no protection, and this predator is just rubbing all over their chest. It's disgusting.
Yeah, whispering in their ears, touching their face and all that stuff. A lot of people say, oh, it's just him being a grandfather. Nah, he's a groomer, man. That dude is he's a creep, dude.
Grandfather? My grandfather has never rubbed my chest.
Right.
Okay, that's disgusting.
You can see the parents, you can see the parents look on their face, and they're just like, my thing is those parents, they should be saying something at the moment, but obviously you've got all these bodyguards and stuff. But I mean, it's clear and concise what he's doing, and people just close, look the other way, turn the other cheek to it, act like it's no big deal because it's a liberal. That's why it's okay.
And I don't care if other people do it. What I care about is the media. The media, they want to be like protected by the Constitution. They got the First Amendment right, the freedom of speech. They call it the fifth branch of government or the fourth estate or whatever they call themselves. They're supposed to be the final check and balance. No, they can only have check and balance authority if they are credible. And if you are only taking on Republicans and being this silent over something so major after you just went through the whole Me Too thing and the whole Brett Kavanaugh thing and the Trump thing, and let's not forget a Senate candidate, Roy Jones or whatever his name was, and who was dating way back 40 years ago when he was dating underage girls or something. He was running for Senate in Alabama. Went after him, rightfully so. Hey, all I'm saying is be fair. If it's good for one, it's good for everybody. I know that 94, 96, at a minimum, even MSNBC reported, I think it was 84% of all political donations from journalists go to the left. Got it. But you know what? You took on a profession to report and let us decide. To borrow from Fox News, we report, you decide. Start doing your damn job and investigate these people. I'm so tired of liberals just living this high horse. They already said that a study came out, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, that said that the Democrats have a 10-point built-in popular vote point advantage because of the media. And I believe in the case of Trump, it's probably 15 or 20%. Now, Trump,
you could see that during the election itself, though.
Trump does himself though,
even up to the president's like being announced. All you heard was, "Oh, Hillary's got this," and then all of a sudden, that's when everything started just hitting the fan.
Yeah. I just, it just gets my goat. Be fair, because you know what? Here's the problem: if they were fair, there's very few Democrats that would actually win election because the country is actually somewhat conservative, especially middle America.
Yeah. I mean, it's craziness.
I was just saying, you said yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Trump, remember I called it, man. When I said it on show after show last week that if the cities and states are asking for all this bailout money, I said, Trump, if you're watching, you should tie it to sanctuary city policies. I don't think he was really watching, but great minds think alike, as Trump has now came out. This is in the Hill. Trump suggests coronavirus funding for states can be tied to sanctuary city policies. He says, quote, "We are not looking to recover 25 years of bad management and give them the money that they lost. That's unfair to other states," he said. But he said he is open to discussion with a bailout of some sort. But we would want certain things also, including sanctuary city adjustments. People are being protected that shouldn't be protected. A lot of bad things are happening with sanctuary cities. He goes on, "Hey, you know what? You invite somebody to pay your bills. If you want to be a co-sovereign state with the government, with the federal government, then you got to pay your own bills. Because if you ask somebody to pay your bills, there's going to be conditions on it. For instance, my very first car loan, one of the conditions was that they had to be able to take it right out of my bank account. It was just a condition of the loan. Another condition is that they were able to get my social security number and check my credit score. Another condition.
Proof of insurance.
Another condition. There you go. Want proof of insurance. Guess what? Happens all the time. Federal highway funds are tied to the minimum drinking age. Seatbelt laws. Some used to be tied to speed limit laws. So, anytime, it's totally fair. Man, I saw liberals whining, what a cold-hearted bastard, da-da-da-da-da. I said it happens all the time. And it makes sense, man. Why would they give you money as a co-sovereign? States are co-sovereign with the federal government. Why would the federal government give their money to you so that you can use it in order to tell your police department, hey, you can no longer cooperate with a federal law enforcement agency?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lick of sense. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is one of the topics that I don't know much about. And I'm more than happy to say I don't know much about it, but it does seem like a big old mess to me. I mean, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, it's a big old mess, but it's not a big old mess because Trump's just saying, hey, we could talk money, but hey, let's talk other policies too. And that's what he is. He's a negotiator. He wrote the art of the deal.
That's one thing that he's always done is negotiate. I mean, that's what made him.
He went farther than any Republican. In fact, Ann Coulter disavowed him after he said, hey, you take up Democrats, you care about all these dreamers, so do I. Not only am I going to give them permanent residency, but we're going to make them citizens of the United States, which took it like a whole nother level. If you will build my border wall and we put real teeth into the immigration laws. And the Democrats said no. That was their big mistake.
That is a huge mistake, though, on their part. That is so stingy and so selfish. These immigrants that you're saying that you care about so much that are already here, and you wouldn't even just simply agree to something so silly. It's the same with the stupid stimulus check that just came out or the stimulus bill. They are always so fucking greedy when it comes to anything.
Whoa, man, right. F-bomb. It's only been 8 minutes, I think. 14 minutes. Good job, boo. Hey, that's my redneck. Hey, listen to this. Bottom line, if they cared that much, and this is where Bill Clinton was smart. He said, hey, we can't get everything at once. So he was more than happy to get a bill in that at least took you down that slope. Today's polarization, the Democrats want all or nothing. And they don't care about the immigrant. What they care about is having the issue to divide the country even further in the election. Guess what? It ain't going to work. I mean, Trump, I think, is going to actually do pretty well with Hispanics this time around. Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you. Before I even get to the slide. Let's say that you are in a state that's returning to work, right? And the employers had laid you off Okay, so you were getting that very generous, by the way, unemployment. It was like your full pay plus $600 extra per week or something. It was crazy. Now, some places, some people are like, well, I'm scared of getting sick. I don't want to come back to work. And the employer's like, well, we're reopened. You need to come back to work. Some of the Republican states are saying, hey, should you get unemployment if you refuse to return to work? What do you think?
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah,
No way. Jose.
Listen, I was debating with somebody online today, and I said, a lot of these things just boil down to the common sense test. If you go get your kindergartner and you ask, hey, is it okay for people to cut in line? They'd be like, no, Daddy, you can't cut in line. That's not right. They should have to go to the back of the line, right? Because we were talking about immigration. Hey, if you're getting paid and now your job is back, should you still get free money or should you have to go back to work? I think any first grader could say, well, yeah, you go back to work. Well, apparently the liberals disagree and they think that the Republicans are just some cold-hearted, mean bastards. So, as states begin to reopen their economies after weeks of stay-at-home orders, some are warning employees that they will lose unemployment benefits if they refuse to return to their jobs, according to Hill, even if they fear contracting the coronavirus. In Iowa, Governor Kim Reynolds, Republican, said failing to return to work would be considered a, quote, voluntary quit, unquote, which would terminate an employee's benefits. This happened. This was actually warned against when they were debating this bill. The Republicans said, hey, we need to put a cap, on the amount that they get. They could get unemployment plus up to $600 or whatever they were making. And the Democrats said, oh, that's so mean-hearted. How could you just not trust people? And they were saying, yeah, because people wouldn't want to come back to work. There was an employer in California.
Why would they want to come back to work if they're getting free money sitting at home?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem. If I got to stay at home and made the same money I make now, I would stay at home.
If you got to stay at home and just made, say, $200 less, I would sit at home. I would sit at home. Yeah. Why go to work for 40 hours or $200 essentially?
You spend. And that's one of the biggest issues with like the socialist type movement, and everything like that. Every equal pay and everybody gets the exact same pay. At some point, you're going to realize, oh, well, if I do a mediocre job, I'm still going to get the same pay. That's what you see in the military. You've always seen that slacker that doesn't do nothing. Why did he do nothing? Because he doesn't have the motivation to actually work. And you think that people are just going to, get this found motivation whenever they're getting paid as Joe Schmo next door that barely does nothing. They're going to stop doing things too. That's the nature of the beast. We always take the easiest route. Water takes the easiest route. Humans take the easiest route. That's just the nature. Way things work. Yeah.
It is 100% nature. They say that the employers pay you just enough not to quit, and you work just hard enough not to get fired. And that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
That's why when employers hire people and they think that oh man, this guy's a superstar, he's going to do great. With the exception of me and Kevin, Dave, in case you're watching.
Wait, what about me? Hold on.
Oh, and the VA. Well, you're a government employee, so you guys don't work hard anyways.
I work extremely hard.
I'm just joking. She is. She was employee of the quarter, her very first quarter there. But guess what? For the rest of the people, not me and Kevin, people work just hard enough not to get fired, and you pretty much pay them just enough to where they won't quit and go to another job. I mean, that's just the dichotomy of it, right?
Yeah.
But here, this happened during the last recovery. The last recovery, they said because we kept extending unemployment, Democrats called us mean-hearted. They know what they're doing. They're addicting people to welfare, free money, quote, free money.
Of course, for votes.
So votes, right. And they knew what they were doing. They called us heartless. The media called us heartless. But really what we were saying is, hey, we got to get people back into the economy. And if we keep paying them to sit at home, they're not going to. It's just like this coronavirus. Guess what? We're finding out in Sweden. They're going to have herd immunity in the next 3 weeks. Why? Because they didn't do all this crazy lockdown stuff. And oh, by the way, their economy is mostly intact. We should have really rethink what we're doing. And if you think that we should shut down in the fall, you're crazy. Go ahead, Whitley.
So this kind of takes me back to like an original point that I had made a long time ago. I really feel like people that live off government assistance, I really feel like we're going to pay for their kids and stuff anyways, correct?
Right.
Like we're paying for their kids' food. We're paying for their kids' everything, right?
Right.
I really think that we should just give them free childcare and not pay them anything besides free childcare. Let them go and work and make a living on their own. And it forces them to want to do better and want to succeed, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pay for anything. I think that if you make a baby,
I don't want to pay for anything either.
But instead of giving
pay for it regardless, right?
Yeah.
So pay for their childcare, make them get off their lazy ass and go work. And I'm not saying like disabled people or anything like that. Okay.
Truly disabled. There's a lot of people that
disabled. I know like the difference.
That system.
We see it every day. Right. But I really feel like if you pay for their daycare, it gives them no excuse not to get off and go find a job and go support their children. Yeah. And it also discourages from having more children. What discourages them now from just popping out baby after baby right now? Nothing, because they get more money per child.
Well, I think that's actually a myth. I think it's a capped amount, but either way, I don't mind. I love babies. I don't know. Fill the world up. The Bible says go out and populate the world, but God, if you're gonna populate
babies, but I don't want to pay for other people's babies all the time.
Right. I mean, well, there's just got to be a limit, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, whenever you look at like people that work every day and work for a living, we make knowledgeable decisions on do we want to have another baby or not. Like it's called like you plan for it, right? You plan to have a baby. You plan to have 2 kids. You plan to have 3 kids. Sometimes you have an accident or whatever. But at the end of the day, a lot of the people that are working in the working class, we go out and we make the money that we need to take care of those kids. And you know what? There's plenty of billionaires that could probably fork over some bills for these. I think that it should be a societal effort, not a governmental effort. That's me. I'm all about the society taking care of each other.
Well, there used to be a welfare system.
I agree with that too.
The welfare system used to be the church, but the left couldn't have that. And you used to go to the church to go and get your welfare. Well, again, the left couldn't have that because they need big bad government to addict. The church isn't asking for votes. You know, so if you got the church paying for it, in fact, if you go into the Mormon church, they actually have their own welfare system. They largely do not depend on government welfare.
I have heard that before too. Like they set their own families up and everything like that. I have heard that.
Right. So, and guess what? That's our fault. With the exception of Catholics, where you see Catholic hospitals and Catholic everything, us Protestants, it's our fault. We have largely quit. We have largely been more interested in building mega churches than actually out feeding the poor and putting money where our mouth is. And not just money, but our time and effort. And I'm guilty too. Because, you know, to me, I'd rather go give $20 to St. Jude's than actually have to go to St. Jude's if it was in my neighborhood and actually volunteer.
I'm gonna slightly disagree with you on that factor with the big church issue and everything like that. Big churches, a lot of them have a lot of money coming in, and they make these big churches, and you know some of them are bigger than what they need to be, sure, but a lot of them have missionaries and they support smaller churches and they support other countries, and they had a whole movement about 2 years ago where they went across Africa and they put wells throughout Africa. And
I agree. Yeah.
People water that had no access to water. So all these people that slam, and I'm not saying that you're slamming, I'm just saying in general, people that slam big churches and say, what are you doing? What are you doing for me lately? Just because it's not affecting you directly doesn't mean that it's not assisting somebody else across the world.
No, Willie and I, the very first church we started going to was a mega church called Granger Community Church in Indiana, outside of South Bend. But and it was a good church, and they did a lot of good mission work. But I do know a lot of churches that, you know, and unfortunately in the Pentecostal churches that I grew up in, many of them, the pastors have bodyguards and fat cars, and you're like, yo, we don't mind paying you a good fair salary because you're leading a very large church. My dad was a pastor, so I know exactly what goes into it. They put in 80, 90-hour weeks sometimes because they're in hospitals praying for the sick and stuff. It is a beyond full-time occupation, so you should be compensated for your family to be able to live. But a lot of the point is that us Christians, there's 2 billion Christians in the world. We should have 2 billion active kindnesses every single day. Every single day. And that's where and a liberal actually called me to task, and I said, man, you got a good point. We are very pro-life. We're anti-abortion, but boy, we're against taking care of that kid once it's born. Now, because there's kind of a struggle there. Do we take care of the kid and then the mom goes and, like what Willie said, makes more kids because there was no consequence? You know, when you got family, when I know guys that have 4 kids from 4 different mothers, that's bad. And not paying child support on any of them, that's bad. And so somehow we need to come back to forget just Christian morality, just morality. One mate for life, or, you know, being married before you have children. Studies show that if you are married, your chance of you reduce poverty for a child by 83%. So we need to be more socially conscious. I don't know where this is all going off to, but let's get on to the next topic. See, Redneck Wednesday, man. You get your
You
redneck.
never know what's gonna happen.
You get your redneck and you get your sermon all on Wednesday night. Right?
There you go. Preach.
That's right. All right, man. This is a disturbing story, man, of the totalitarian garbage, as Dana Loesch has said. If you dislike using the phrase police state, then very simply don't abuse authority and act like agents of one, right? So, out in Wisconsin, these police, I'm still trying to figure out what it was. It seems like a remote area. 2 cops, 2 sheriff's deputies go up to this lady and they're like, "Hey, do you not understand we're at a stay-at-home order?" Basically, they were gonna try to ticket her or something because her daughter had the audacity of going next door and playing with a neighbor kid out in the country. Right here, I'm gonna show you the video real quick.
Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I'm Deputy Everhart with the Sheriff's Department. So, are you aware that we're in a stay-at-home order right now?
Yeah, obviously.
By the government?
Yes,
of
I am
Wisconsin?
aware.
Okay, you're aware of that?
I am aware.
So I don't need to explain that to you?
No, you don't need to explain
Okay,
that to
I
me.
can if you need me to.
Go. You can because your officer was just here 2 weeks ago.
Okay, do you need me
and
to explain
he
it to you or
explained
no?
it to me that you guys weren't enforcing that order.
Oh, we're about to.
Okay.
So you understand it, though?
Okay, so why are you here?
Because your daughter is going to play at other people's home and you're allowing it to happen.
They were over here as well. So
Okay.
are you
And
here?
they've been talked to
Okay.
about it. So
No,
now
I
I'm talking to
understand.
you,
Okay.
and so either you can acknowledge it or you can argue.
I'm acknowledging it.
Okay, stop having your kid go by other people's home.
Okay, I acknowledge it. Anything else?
Nope, that
Dude, that I'm not gonna show the whole clip. That is disturbing, dude.
Yeah.
First of all, you can tell they're near the Minnesota border because you can hear the accent.
Yeah.
You know, one side is over by Michigan, the other side is by Minnesota, but you can hear the accent. So it's somewhere over there in BFE. But man, how much liberty have we given up for this virus that at worst they're thinking kills 0.5% of the people that get it? Because most people that get it through antibody tests are showing that, hey, a lot of us got it, we didn't even know it. Or we were sick and didn't go to the doctor, and it's like, oh, okay, must have been a cold, right?
Well, even get rid of the corona case. Get rid of that. Get rid of what's going on right now. Just that act by itself to a citizen that is not breaking any laws is just outrageous to come to their house and make and first off be an arrogant prick that he was being. You can hear it in his tone of voice. He's being arrogant. You're out there to protect and serve the people. You're not out there to police the nation and lock everybody up and slam us all in the clinker. You're supposed to be protecting and serving. And that's one of the biggest things that I feel like a lot of law enforcement have forgotten is that you are to protect and serve. That's the reason why it's your motto. That's the reason why that's like, so the fact that he was being that way is absolutely, ludicrous. And then on top of that, it's a woman that is letting her kid be a kid. And like you said, this infection rate is so low that it's ridiculous that we're still even locked up, to be honest, that we're still in lockdown, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, it seems like the upper Midwest just don't get it. And you know what it was is Wisconsin now has a Democrat governor. Michigan now has a Democrat governor. Minnesota always has a Democrat governor except for one period that we lived there. And they're just power hungry, man. They're just control the people.
The way he approached that woman, first of all, walking onto her property like that in the first place is totally inappropriate. I mean, he didn't even say, hello, how are you doing today? With a nice smile. He straight up just walked up on her property and started screaming at her about a little child at somebody's house.
I want to know who the snitch was.
My kids have been playing outside.
I'm not gangster about like snitches get stitches because sometimes you have to cooperate with the police to solve a murder or something of a loved one. Right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to that kind of stuff, that snitches get stitches, man. That's like, you worry about your Johnny and Susie. I worry about mine. That's called parental rights. It's inalienable. Unless you're abusing that child. Let me tell you what's worse than this coronavirus. What I see here in West Virginia and stuff with children that are 500 pounds in the kindergarten. All right?
Yeah.
So if you want to snitch on or call endangering a child, the chance of a virus that probably has a 0.001% chance of killing a child, the most they're probably going to get is some weird rash that we're hearing about. Bottom line, the kids that are growing up with heart disease and diabetes by the time they're in third grade. I mean, Kevin, you look like you would have been one of those fat kids growing up, were you?
No, dude, I was insy weensy, bro. I was small.
Oh, okay.
Nate was a fat kid growing up.
I was
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
He was a fat kid.
I was chubby. I was short for my weight.
I was like 130 getting into high school, man. I was a little guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't start getting big until I got to senior year. But yeah, man, that's one of the biggest thing that irks me about people is these kids need to get out and play. These kids need to burn that energy off. They need to. I mean, me and my son were hanging out outside while the wife went to go get some sushi, and he was running around in the yard. And as well, I take him out in the backyard and we work out. We go on jogs. Yesterday we went on a jog and he turned it into a fast-paced freaking tag match, and we got outside and exercise. But a lot of these kids are stinking fat. Get your kid outside and get them working, because the last thing you need is, yeah, some kids have issues with weight and it's hard for them, or they might have thyroid issues, but don't use that as an excuse to not be athletic or not be outside doing stuff.
Thyroid. Every kid I grew up with, man, I'm like, dude, you're kind of, you get like busting on each other, like, dude, you're kind of chubby, man. It's so much with thyroid. I'm like, man, this thyroid problem is really running rampant, man. Everybody had a thyroid problem. That's my problem now, Whitley. I got a thyroid problem.
Yeah, you and me both.
I mean, come on, man. Hey, you know what? And I don't blame the kid. Like, there's a lot of times like, oh, look at that fat little kid. But then I'm like, oh, Lord forgive me. That's the parents' fault.
Yeah.
That is the parents' fault. The funniest, the most embarrassing thing ever happened with my twin brother when we were in California. We're on our way to church. I'm wearing my Jesus shirt, like, yeah, go Jesus, right? Jesus saves or something. And my brother and I were walking. We're twins. So we go into this Safeway, and this little girl looks like somebody was trying to take her to church or something. She had a dress on, but she must have been, good God. She must have been 350 pounds and 6 years old, right? Just huge. And there she is sucking on a big old latte from Starbucks. And my twin brother, I think he grabbed Whitley like as if it was his wife and says...
So embarrassing and so redneck.
And he goes up to what he thought was the mom, says, shame on you. She's like, what did I do? What did I do? He's like, shame on you. That poor kid is going to suffer psychological damage and be made fun of their whole life and going to have diabetes, and that's all your fault. And the lady's like, I'm not even her mom. And then he like looked and he's like, then how did you still bought her that, I'm sure. And it was just so embarrassing. Here I'm wearing Jesus. I'm walking off because I got my Jesus shirt on. I'm
Not quite the way you should handle it, I don't think. But
that's Brandon, though, man. If you ever meet my twin, he'll put it out there. He has no. You think I have no filter? That dude has no filter.
Maybe it is the right way to handle it.
I mean, sometimes what we need, honestly, is honest doctors to say, "Hey, look, your kid is morbidly obese. Now we'll blame 10% of the weight on thyroid." But the other is I want you to videotape every time you go to the grocery store, and let's see what's going in the carton in that kid's hands.
Yeah, what's that kid's diet look like?
All refined carbs, sugar, refined carbs. What are those Lunchables? All the stuff that's just crap, but easy.
But it's a parent's fault.
Pepsi, soda and stuff. Soda for kids.
Yeah, my kids have never had soda ever
in their life.
One is like 20 years old now, and he's never had soda.
He's had Monster, just to be fair, but he did that after he was 18 or 17.
Okay, but my 13-year-old, my 11-year-old have never had soda. But part of it too is these doctors. Like I do remember like an instance where I took my daughter into a doctor's office just for like a physical, and they told me she was underweight. But I think the problem is that the standards have risen so high now.
They said she's below average rate, but the average has gone up because
kids are so big nowadays.
Right.
Not fat, they're big.
Big boned.
Thick.
Oh, speaking of bravery, I got a story for you. Thank you for your service, actress Hillary Burton. Remember One Tree Hill? Reveals how she's showing solidarity with frontline worker during the COVID-19 crisis by letting her gray hair grow out. It's so brave. Dude, Hollywood people are so self-absorbed.
You're on the front line, girl. You get it.
Look at this sad face, like, in solidarity. She says, quote, "The silver lining is literally growing out of my skull for all of our frontline and essential workers who are too busy to fuss with things like hair color. I grow mine out in solidarity with you. When I see it, I'm reminded of all you're doing to keep us safe. I'm reminded you deserve to be taken care of. I'm reminded that any spare time I shouldn't be spent on vanity, but rather on helping our heroes. I can make 5 masks in the time it would take me to dye my hair. It's a small, silly symbol, gray hair. Who cares, right? But I hope the nurse or the vet or the store clerk who's feeling tired and overwhelmed knows that it's a visible thing that I can
Or
show that says I'm
instead,
with you.
as this like millionaire, billionaire, whatever she is, like she's got tons of money, I'm assuming. Like, why don't you get your ass off the couch and go volunteer somewhere and help out? Like,
Oh, they can't break the social distancing. Duh.
oh yeah.
Come on.
Oh, the socialist distancing.
Yeah.
Right. I just think Hollywood people are so self-absorbed. Like we're all supposed to look at that and say,
Yeah.
bless
Such
her
an
heart.
inspiration.
Congratulations, woman.
I mean, this is not like, you know, the lady who shaves her head all the way
Welcome
bald.
to the real world. I like people.
Go grab a box dye. Good God.
It's like the lady, the people that will shave their heads because of a cancer kid. That's honorable, man. You just shaved all your hair off. Oh my God. I let it grow gray up top.
My root.
I always thought she was blonde anyways. Right here she's dark hair with gray, but anyways. But I just hate self-absorbed liberals, man. They just think that I know she tried. She's just meaning well, but good God, come on, man.
Well,
He keeps
I
cutting.
hate obviously Elvis probably were at some point, but it's nonsense, man. At some point you gotta quit talking about yourself and ask how other people are doing.
Oh, she cares. She's getting her gray hair out, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
This is serious stuff, okay?
I'm growing my beard out
In solidarity that you don't have time to shave it because they don't?
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh my Lord.
You are in the free speech zone. No safe spaces allowed. Nightcaps with Nate.
All right, so the next thing that we are going to go after is China. I hate China lately, man. I'm telling you, I hope we stick it to them. China lashes out. The U.S. claims country is lying through their teeth, quote unquote, on coronavirus. Threatens Australia as well. They say that we are lying through our teeth and suggest that our country should mind its own business as the war of words between the two world's biggest economies escalate. We advise American politicians to reflect on their own problems and try their best to control the coronavirus epidemic. That you started, China. You started it. And so Australia says, hey, we're also going to open up an investigation. We want to let our investigators in your country to find out where this thing started because it cost us a lot, right? And they are now threatening again with not only supply chain, but their purchasing power. Their Hu Xijin is like, I don't know what he is, the foreign ministry. But anyways, he says, let me give a coercion to Australia. As its attitude toward China becomes worse and worse, Chinese companies will definitely reduce economic cooperation with Australia, and the number of Chinese students and visitors going to Australia will also decrease. Time will prove it all. Dude, shut the hell up, say sorry, throw some bones, give us some free money or something, reduce our debt.
Wipe out our debt. Good God.
Well, that's the thing that China...
saying it from the beginning. Wipe out our debt and all will be good, okay? We should not owe China anything. If anything, China should owe us now.
Yeah.
Oh, much more than the $1 trillion that they hold in our securities.
Hey, and all we're saying, just wipe our debt clean.
They have cost the world, and whether it's their wet markets that they knew causes SARS, that's what caused the last SARS.
By the way, are open again.
Which are, by the way, yeah, and selling bats, just right back at it. Or if it was their lax controls. You know, I'll tell you what, if the United States had released something like this on the world, we'd be paying. We'd be like, yeah, we owe a debt of gratitude to the world. I mean, we already pay so much money out to other countries anyways, but
yeah, I think it was all controlled for sake of the protesters to stop them from protesting in Hong Kong and all that. But here goes my conspiracy mind. I'll put that away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shut that box, Kevin.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll have you on a Saturday or something. Conspiracy Saturdays. All right. This is from The Hill. Federal inmate dies from coronavirus after giving birth on ventilators. This lady named, now don't laugh because it's her culture and I don't want anybody, but her name is Andrea, either Circle Bear or High Bear. She's from the Indian tribe. Is the 30th person in federal custody die. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, she's part of that squad, you know, Ilhan and all them. Irritating squad, but anyways, she's like, this is a preventable tragedy. Every day that the Federal Bureau of Prisons refuses to decarcerate is one more family robbed of a loved one. Nah, dude, it is a tragedy. It is a preventable tragedy. You know how you do it? You don't have drugs going on to Indian reservations. She was operating a meth house, or knowingly operated a meth house where people were living there, not only dealing, but you know, delivering and all types of stuff. The convictions stem from several incidences in April of 2018 when Circle Bear, that's her name, unlawfully and knowingly used and maintained a place for the purpose of distributing methamphetamine on the Cheyenne River Sioux Indian Reservation. Now, let me tell you, have you ever been on an Indian reservation?
No.
They're poor. They're desolate. They're out there. Okay. Part of it is because there's a high drug abuse and alcohol problem. Part of it is because there's a very high single parenthood problem. Part of it is because, they were pushed onto these lands by our ancestry. They get free college. They get free healthcare from the government. It's not very good. Bottom line, they have enough problems. When you're feeding drugs onto the population, you go to prison and you die. Hey, sorry. As long as we didn't cause a death, unless you were sentenced to death, then I don't feel bad for her. I feel bad for her family. I feel bad for her kid, but I don't feel bad for her. I mean, I feel bad because she's a human, but
I feel bad that she died, like sad, but lots of people die in prison.
What I don't like is when Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley or Ilhan Omar and all that always want to blame somebody else except for the inmate that did it. It's like that whole big thing. Oh, you're separating families. Well, if I am driving with my child, woo, DUI, right? They're going to separate me from my child. I'm going to get locked into a cage, separated from my child. If my wife's not available to pick the child up, then the child goes to, a mini detention, a care facility or some sort, right? A foster home overnight or whatever, until somebody can come get the kid. It happens every day. They blame the whole separating families on stuff. It's just all nonsense, man. I just get tired of
Obama did the same thing.
They operate on emotion. They
do.
There's never logic.
It is always emotion, not logic. Emotionally, I would love all 7.2 billion people to be here in the United States that they would not be broken poor. Logically, we couldn't absorb that and we'd all be broken poor. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, I could only imagine the world being perfect. Emotionally. Logically, I know that's not possible because there's too many idiots out there. There's too many people that are hooligans that are running around acting like a bunch of damn fools. So we got to deal with it. How do we deal with it?
Agree.
Agreed, right. Logically, everybody would, socialism would work emotionally. Logically, it'll never work. They tried it. It was called communism in early China. They would give plots to all these families to farm. And they found that certain families would farm it and then everybody would try to take from it. Everybody else sat around, It just doesn't work, man.
There's always going to be 20% leading 80%.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why
Always.
That's why Republican and conservative movement will never ever be an outright majority. It just won't, because we're the 20%. It's against human nature. All right, Dr. Anthony Fauci says data from remdesivir coronavirus drug trial shows quite good news because people went from a median time of 11 days compared to 15 days in the placebo group. And so the same guy who beat up on hydroxychloroquine before studies are down, he's all about this remdesivir. You know why? Because he's been a bureaucrat since the 1980s. He's getting ready to retire. He's going to go get on a board of one of these big pharma companies. This is my conspiracy theory now. And he's going to make a killing off this. Gilead Science is going to pay him to make a killing. And that's why I've never trusted the guy. He has been wrong since this whole thing started. Yes, everybody's like, oh, let Dr. Fauci talk. Trump's not an expert. You might as well just let Trump talk too, because guess what? He's been about as right as Trump.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, they're always worried about experts, but I mean, didn't they just kick two experts off of YouTube?
Oh, we're gonna go over that in a minute, man. Tesla's thing. Oh, here it is. In fact, next story. Elon Musk blasts YouTube for banning California doctors video that claims physicians are being pressured into putting coronavirus on death certificates and urged an end to shutdowns because it disputed official guidance. YouTube, Facebook, I deal with them all the time. Twitter, man, if you could get some left-wing fact checker to say, oh, fact check wrong, man, you either have to put this disclaimer on or it'll cover up your post or they'll just actually take it all the way down. And those fact checkers are, first of all, you can look, if you believe in facts, right? There are so many different facts that you can extrapolate to make your point. For instance, heart disease and cholesterol, right? There are many doctors who say, hey, all this war on cholesterol is pointless and stupid.
Yeah.
Cholesterol is actually good for you and prevents dementia and it's needed. And as long as you're exercising, it doesn't matter what your cholesterol level is. You'd have other doctors look at the same study and say, no, that's clearly not what it's saying. All right. So that's why fact checkers and these media giants that are doing this, who happen to be leftists themselves, by the way, it's always going to skew against the conservative side. And oh, by the way, I like to think of the fact checkers back in the day. If you would have said, in fact, the first doctor that said, "Hey, an ulcer is not just caused by stress. There's an actual bug, an actual germ," and everybody said that is the most ridiculous thing. And he's like, "No, for real, it does." And like, no germ can survive that acidic environment in the stomach. You're a crackhead. Come to find out later, the guy won a Nobel Prize because he was right. All that time, his news would never have gotten out on YouTube or on Facebook because it had been fact-checked or pulled from pseudoscience and wrong. All right? Part of science is questioning what we think we know. And as long as we have big giants doing this crap, it's never going to do it. So, Elon Musk says, hey, free America now. Billionaire Elon Musk joins protesters demanding COVID-19 lockdown be lifted as he's on the cusp of getting $750 million payout from Tesla. He's 48-year-old Tesla founder tweeted, free America now. You're starting to see this movement a lot. You know what I think he should do with his $750 million? He needs to start a middle-of-the-road, true free speech, Facebook or Twitter or something.
Yeah. That would be so nice, though. Like something that's actually, because, like Facebook, they say, oh, we're free of speech. Like, it's ridiculous trying to get through Facebook, honestly.
Oh, just for me to run ads for this show because we happen to talk about news, just talk about it. I'm not endorsing any candidate, Trump, or anything like that. I have liberals on it. Ask Whitley. I had to go back and forth with Facebook and send them so many documentations, and they had to send me stuff and prove my identity and it was crazy to be able to run ads for this show just on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have something that's down the middle. I'm not looking for conservative. I'm not. We already got all the liberal agenda. Propaganda, media sources. Let's find something that's down the middle, something that's about the freedoms of being a freaking human being. And I would ditch all these other damn apps to be on that app. 100.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, good Lord, I'd take MySpace back.
I don't think the liberals get off of Facebook and jump over to that platform just because they're looking for something more level.
Yeah, I
just can't imagine. Honestly, I can't even imagine like Bernie supporters. They're just voting for Biden. I can't imagine that.
And they're the ones.
It goes against everything that they are or that they say they are. I can never see them ever voting for Biden or wanting to associate with that kind.
Yeah.
Okay, so according to this liberal pollster, civics.com, I think they're formerly of Washington Post. It's liberal. They're self-avowed liberals, right? And Trump today has a 42% approval rating. Guess what they say Biden's approval rating is at?
60 something.
What do you think?
78.
Believe it or not, 38%. This is a liberal one.
Oh.
38%. Yeah. So when you see all these national polls that say, oh, he's killing Trump and all that, all you got to do is look at approval ratings. Guess what?
I wasn't expecting that.
No guy with a 38% approval rating is going to do it. You know why he's got 38%? Because that's his core base. The people for Bernie, they don't like him. My sister even says, man, she might think about just sitting this one out. If it wasn't
the one thing that we have to realize, though, is that approval rating doesn't equate to being or not being elected. Approval rating means that the person doesn't approve of them. But so many people do not go to the booth to pick somebody that they approve of. They go to the booth to look for an R or a D. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
And that's all they ever will care about until we can get in front of them and talk to them. Right, until you go out there and you move your feet.
That's only partially correct because it's also the excitement of the base to get out and vote. Guess what? Biden has excited no one. Zeros and zilch. Exactly. Hillary excited at least a little bit because Trump.
She's a female.
Yeah, and so there was something special. That's why he's going to go for probably a black female, Stacey Abrams or somebody as his VP. Oh my
God, Stacey Abrams couldn't even win Georgia.
Well, Georgia's a blue country. Georgia's a red state, though, so they can say, "Hey."
Oh, please.
I think she sounds like a doofus every time.
She sounds horrible.
If he's going to go with anybody, go with Kamala Harris, but she has her own baggage. She slept with Willie Brown to get her first job in politics. So literally, Biden will like that. Oh, hey,
they should have just kept Bernie.
Yeah.
They would have been way better off of Bernie, especially the first time around against Trump. They would have been way better off.
Oh, he probably would have won.
He probably would have won. But you know what? The DNC is a bunch of freaking
crooks.
fake.
Yeah, the Democrat Party is the least democratic. Just like the Party of Tolerance, they're the least tolerant.
And they didn't want Bernie. They wanted Hillary because it was Hillary's chance.
It was Hillary's turn, yep. The old guard. So guess what happens? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think we just need one good libertarian to run, one down the middle person to run.
Well, they tried that.
People
Ron
actually
Paul.
get their mind
I was
off
gonna
of that
say,
channel.
Ron
and
Paul
Rand.
tried and
Ron
Rand.
and Rand.
Both tried. I would have voted for either of them over even
Yeah,
our
but,
current
but
president.
did they pick a side or did they stay?
No, they had to. In order to win, it's kind of like Bernie's not really a Democrat; he's a socialist, but he ran on the Democrat ticket. Rand and Ron, Ron always ran as a libertarian on his own,
Right.
but Rand actually, I think, didn't he run for president?
He ran as an independent, though. I think.
I don't think so.
That's the thing,
I don't
though, is
remember.
before we can get to the independent stage,
Mm.
we have to break people free of this
But you won't break them free.
left and right, free of left and right, the binary aspect of things, and start thinking about reality. And reality is more people are down the middle.
They are, and that's the voters that are going to go. Hey, guess what happens when you shut down your whole economy for this virus for so many weeks? What do you think is going to happen?
People lose their jobs.
Yeah, GDP just came out, man. 4.8% decline. It's the first time since 2014, by the way, that we've had a negative GDP number, which is telling, by the way, because the Obama is supposed to be so good at the economy that even after the recovery, he still had a negative GDP growth. That's never happened under President Trump. But I digress.
Oh, but they'll beat him up about it now.
Oh, but I have people that I know that will say, "Oh, the president doesn't affect the economy."
Well,
Like what?
yeah, well, I mean, he sure did this time, but it's not his fault. Gross domestic product fell 4.8% between January and March this year, thanks to the pandemic. Consumer spending fell by 7.8%. Business investment shrank by 8.6%. So, I mean, that's just we need to figure out, I think it was even you or somebody posted on the internet, how much are we going to lose? How many people are we going to put in poverty to prevent you from getting sick?
Yep.
And if this was a sickness that had to say, you had a 10 or 15% chance of dying, everybody, then I would say, hey, yeah, we got to do something. That's just, we can't afford to lose that much of our population. And people are like, oh, but what if that was your grandma? I agree. In fact, who is that? Ben Shapiro right now is taking a lot of flack because he said, hey, my 81-year-old grandmother, she's going to die someday anyways. And I hope she never dies. And I hope this thing doesn't get her, but we can't stop the world to protect 81-year-old grandma. You can't stop the world for that. Death and life and viruses and stuff is part of the human life. Man, he is getting beat up by the emotional left. That's what I'm going to start calling them, the emotional left. That's exactly what they are. Man, oh man. Hey,
that's all they are. That's all they are.
The next story was going to be for JD because I know he's got a teenage girl, but killer couple, girl 6.
I have a teenage girl too now.
Our girls are sweet. I'm sure JD's are too, but girl 16.
What?
Girl
I'm
16.
sorry, Morgan and JD.
I know. And I know his kids. I'm just playing. Anyways, girl 16 and boyfriend 19 busted in murder for hire plot to kill her stepdad after he caught him in bed.
Ooh.
So she was actually gonna have them offed. That was a thing. Dude, if you think our prisons are bad, dude, this is crazy. If you look at all these people lined up in El Salvador, man, because they were rioting, so they stripped them all to their boxer shorts and have them like all straddling each other in like lines of 200-300 people. And they have to put their head down on the next person in front of them. And they're just sitting there. How coronavirus has made the world's worst prisons even more dangerous as rioting, murder, and mayhem escalate. Huh?
What? Like, why?
I was saying that sounds like Guantanamo Bay mess. Like
that's worse than Guantanamo Bay. The liberals
Yeah.
would be killing us right now if this was our country. Oh my God! But there are all these tatted up MS-13 people, all in their boxer shorts, sitting there like literally sack to ass. You know what I'm saying? Nut sack to ass.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting there, and they got their skin touching. They got to like lean over on them. But don't worry, Their hands are behind their back, and they all have masks on.
Perfect.
There you go. No COVID.
Dude, that is some crazy stuff, man. So I think it was to like punish him for rioting. Hey, maybe we need to like put that in our prison system. I don't know. Dude,
Is
what
your
if
crime rate
Sounds like a good
lower
one.
than ours?
what if one of those dudes like dudes and they got a heart on right behind them? Then they start a whole nother riot. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, if you believe the studies that 4% or whatever of the population is gay and they just might not admit it, but you're like, let's say you like dudes, right? And you're just up against that nice, sweaty, hot body, tattoos turning you on. You know what I'm saying? You're like, don't do it. Oh, please don't. And they start thinking about something that's really gross, like grandpa or something.
Grandpa.
You know?
Oh my God.
Do you guys know who this guy is? Joe Guidici. He was the husband on Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Nope, never seen it.
Well, it just goes to show. Just goes to show that our immigration system is fair and impartial because he has just been deported and his appeal has been denied back to Italy because he had to spend 41 months in prison for wire fraud and bankruptcy fraud. His attorneys say, hey, our immigration laws in our country are both draconian and antiquated and need to be revisited by forward-thinking members of Congress, aka Democrats. Hey, let's let this guy stay. I promise when he becomes a citizen, he'll vote for you, Democrats. No. You spend time in prison while you're visiting our country? No. That's like me staying the night at your house and you caught me like going through your wife's underwear drawer or something. You know what I'm saying? It's just not Christian. It's not right. And you'd kick me out. Not you, Kevin. Your wife would just kill me.
Thinking.
But I would be like, hey, Kevin, can you be a little more forward thinking? I mean, that's a draconian rule, man. I can't get up in your wife's underwear drawer. Come on.
Oh, everybody needs to be more forward thinking in this world, I guess.
My God.
Disturbing. Sorry
for everybody who's got the, hey, you know those crazy, not crazy, I shouldn't say it, but you know how they always have sign language people? And I've always wondered why, like when they're giving like national disaster briefs and stuff, and they have the sign language person behind there. Usually they're like doing these crazy faces, like here on the screen, the look when the sign lady even thinks you're full of crap. Come to find out, Governor Cuomo hasn't been using it, and now they're getting sued. Governor Cuomo is sued for not having a sign language interpreter at coronavirus briefings. He's like, dude, we got closed captioning. They're like, but that doesn't always work. You just denied us the right to have up-to-date knowledge. Some of us don't have internet, so we're suing you. I didn't know. I thought that governments, I thought they were just showing off by having a sign language person. Remember that one guy that got up next to Obama and he wasn't even doing real sign language? And he got caught?
Yeah.
He was even doing the weird facial expressions. I don't mind the sign language person behind, but it's distracting. I'm trying to watch like the governor or somebody give a very strong brief, and they always do these weird contortions with their face to like show the emotion.
But that's their right under a Disability Act.
It is their right under Disability Act. I don't know if it's their right to have a sign language person there, but as long as, they got closed captioning.
So
there's tons of deaf people, and I think that having somebody there to sign for them is a good thing, because who wants to sit there and read the entire time, right? You speak and you listen and you hear much better. So for them, they're more visually inept to seeing the signals.
You said who wants to read? If you're doing sign language, you're reading signs.
Yeah, but it's not their normal. Engaged.
Yeah. Hey, if this were a Republican, do you think the media would be all over this?
Of course, we already know that.
Intolerant.
And I'm very disappointed in Cuomo because he's such a progressive guy, and he's a Democrat. He's this liberal guy. He should be the first one to have a signer up there.
I know you would think this came from a Republican governor, but this is Cuomo. Everybody's darling on the left right now, hoping that he runs for president. The guy is such a intolerant fool that he didn't even have a sign language person behind him. Said, read it. Same. He is such an evil person. Oh, hey. This one right here, for if any guy's ever been married, you don't have to admit, but one time you were probably looking at something and the wife came in and saw you. I got this picture of a cat here. You're home early and it shows a cat banging another cat on a computer. But look at this. This professor at the U in Miami, guess what? He's fired because he was showing his screen to his students and there was a tab up. They didn't see anything, but the tab says busty college girl, F you, and a da. So when he wasn't on the screen, he was doing it. So this lady, one of the students has put it on TikTok and it says, my professor is sharing a screen with the class, and it shows a circle around the busty college girl. Yeah, so that professor obviously was not a tenured professor, but he has been relieved of his duties. Hey, that takes us up to the end of our time.
That's horrible.
Thank you, Whitley, for joining us.
Of course.
Thank you, JD, for stiffing us. Kevin, thank you for the most Merica background ever. I think it froze up your computer a couple times there, but not too bad.
Yeah, I'm about to fix the internet up here.
Yeah,
where are you at?
Fine.
I'm upstairs in my office.
All right, man, gotta go. We're gonna get cut off here, and I am going to do the outro right now. Goodbye.
Hey, like, share, Facebook page.
Yes, share and subscribe on YouTube. Bye.
Thanks, buddy.
This has been Nightcaps with Nate. Please join Nate for a Nightcap every weeknight at 9 Eastern here on Facebook Live.